CIO News. I am Khushbu, Soni, host for the broadcast and chief editor at CIO News. This is our exclusive Tech Talk series powered by Trellix. It is a recorded session and will be available on our website, that is cionews.co.in, and our CIO News LinkedIn handle. I'm very excited to invite our guest for today. We have Mr. Shivkumar Pandey, the Group Chief Information Security Officer at BSE Limited. Shivkumar has 21 plus years of industry experience in driving information technology and information cybersecurity function across banking and financial sector, stock exchanges, and telecom organizations. He has been performing as leadership roles in cybersecurity across these organizations for the past 21 years. And prior to joining BSE as Group CISO, Shivkumar has been associated with National Payment Corporation of India CISO, Reliance Jio, SUD Life Insurance, Future Generali India, Kotak Mahindra, Tata AIG, many more. He has his Master in Information Management and Bachelor of Engineering in Electronics and Telecom. He's been awarded in many large award functions which are recognized globally. Sir, it is an absolute pleasure to have you today on CIO News platform, and we're really looking forward for this discussion with you to get your perspective.
Thanks, Khushbu, and I can say good evening, everyone. Thanks.
Awesome. We also are accompanied by Manish Sinha. He's the Director Sales Engineering India and South from Trellix. Manish is also a moderator for today's session. Manish is business-driven sales engineering leader and passionate about cybersecurity. He's been an advocate of cybersecurity with over 20 plus years of experience in architecting, designing, and promoting cybersecurity solutions. Manish has managed security services and application delivery solutions in India and South region. Manish, pleasure to have you today, and over to you to drive this discussion.
Thank you, Khushbu. Thanks a lot for the introduction. An absolute pleasure and delighted to be sharing the stage with Mr. Shivkumar Pandey. And welcome, Mr. Shiv, to this discussion.
Thanks, Manish.
So to start and set the context, it's about the new normal. And the new normal in cybersecurity is a radical shift in the approach, in the threat detection and response approach. And that's primarily, we all know that it's driven by four key challenges that organizations are facing today. Number one challenge is work from home and work from anywhere. That's here to stay, right? I mean, and that poses a big challenge to IT infrastructure because the employee, the massive workforce, need access to applications in a secure fashion, in a seamless fashion, and a faster response time as well. Second challenge which organizations face is about digital transformation and cloud adoption. And that's predominantly because every organization needs to be agile and there has to be a horizontal scaling of applications and performance. And for that, the challenge that it poses is data is everywhere. Data is in the cloud, data is in a multi-load workload and multi-cloud environment. Data is spread across everywhere. And how to protect the data is a big challenge. Third challenge, which banking, finance, and fintech companies are facing big time, is about supply chain integration. Supply chain is important, very critical, because new products have to be rolled out and you need to keep integrating with newer supply chain ecosystems. Any security vulnerability that is there in the supply chain platform, that makes a big exposure to the entire ecosystem. That's third challenge. Fourth is about the new threats which are coming in, predominantly the nation state cyber campaigns, cyber attack campaigns. Any geopolitical conflict would lead to a new variant of malwares, new variant of ransomware, and then organizations have to meticulously work and execute, plan, so that they are defended against these attacks. So with that context, this was just a precursor to our discussion. With that context, the discussion topic is securing critical infrastructure in the new normal. And Mr. Shiv, I wanted to start with getting more insight from you. We have been hearing about the next generation SOC which BSC has built up, and you have been responsible for securing this critical infrastructure and leading the team to secure the critical infrastructure. We want to hear more about the security operations and next generation SOC and the infrastructure that you have built up. If you can please share some insight into that.
Uh, Good afternoon, Manish. Uh, just to tell you about, when we talk about the BSC and the group companies, so BSC being parent companies, we have BSC Limited, then we have Indian Clearing Corporation Limited, we have BSC Investment Limited, we have international stock exchanges which operate from Ahmedabad, International Stock Exchange, Clearing Corporation Limited, BSC Institute Limited, BSC Technology Limited, we have a commodity exchange, and we got even a power exchange license. So you can say like now we are a universal exchange. And BSC being identified, notified by government of India as a national critical infrastructure, and that's why we are always on the radar of the target hackers and all. Just to tell you, we have BSC had implemented 24 into 7 next gen cybersecurity operation centers 5 years back only, and this cybersecurity operations center with the zero trust cybersecurity framework, and you name it, and we have gone everything, even people, process, and technology, all the aspect. If you talk about in terms of the technology, you name it. I mean, most of the technology is there. Some of the niche technology which I wanted to talk about, it's like the SIM, SA, so I mean user behavior anomaly detections, threat intel sources from different sources, threat intel platform, real time forensic, and the something like ML and AL, we are using like an IBM Watson and all to do the quick RCA, find out, because how quickly you can respond the incident, that's become very important. And the USP of all this, this next gen cybersecurity operations center is that all this technology we have brought in big band approach in a single, single orders in such a way that the integration is feasible and automation is feasible, so that we can get the exponential benefit out of the same. So this was a fantastic experience, and we have implemented a very integrated and automation fashion in a next gen cyber security operation centers for BSC, which we operate from Mumbai and Bangalore.
Amazing to hear the insights, and I'm happy to hear that there are so many. You shared the insight about the multiple technologies and the building blocks that you have set up, and that's for the Advanced Security Operations Center, right? I mean, thanks for sharing those insights, Shiv. One of the key aspects that we keep hearing about is endpoint security also, and understand that Bombay Stock Exchange, you have employees who would be distributed across, working from home, working from office, and unified endpoint protection as a strategy. We would like to hear about what's your experience with that, and what the strategy that you have adopted in Bombay Stock Exchange for that.
So if you talk about a cyber security per se, we have categorization our complete infrastructure in 9 domains. Like one, as you said, the endpoint protection, then threat intel sources, and then network securities and other sources. Then the advanced fraud technologies, example for deception services or anti-phishing kind of services. Then identity and access management. Application security is a very important thing because most of our application is in-house and very unique in nature. So doing, so that's why, it's become a source code review, VAPT, dynamic testing will also become required. Then data protection, and then the mobile applications, and as these are the 9 domains, and all is which integrated with the security architectures and the SIM thing, which we do from central monitoring for all these applications. So as I said, endpoint also become very important, and very important because finally it's become the gateway. So what we do, we find unified data protection strategy for entire infrastructure is become very important. And most of these things, whether whether you use, the incomplete endpoint protection system, or even we have installed the EDR kind of technology or XDR kind of technology, we monitor from the centrally. Just to tell you some of the things, the endpoint protection is examples, our firewall or our, we have done lots of automation in the sense like our firewall, our NAC solution, our NT-APT solution, which is we call as advanced persistent threat. Everything is integrated with each other. So if any malware is detected even in an endpoint, it is automatically isolated from the system, and call is also automatically logged into the systems, and engineer will go and check the system. This is all about when we talk about malware or threat kind of protection. Similarly, we have installed, the DLP data, and we have thoroughly done the data classification and complete encryption also of the system.
Mhm.
So it's like, the complete people, process, and technology, and intact technologies also is chosen in such a way that it's within the cybersecurity our framework.
Great. Great. The key takeaway for me would definitely be people and process, which is very, very important tools. You highlighted a couple of critical aspects of endpoint security, also like AI, uh, ML engines, advanced analytics, and a unified protection strategy. So great to hear that, Shiv. Another thing which I wanted to check to talk to you about is the growing emphasis on SASE as a framework that's being adopted by organizations, and predominantly being driven by the fact that a lot of assets, a lot of applications are moving to the cloud. What's the point of bringing all those users to the data center, put control there, and then give access to the applications? A direct device to cloud access is what secure access services is all about, and that's what Gartner has been recommending for organizations. So, what's your suggestion, Ashu, to the security leaders and CISOs and CIOs in terms of how do they adopt SASE faster? How do they move towards the journey in a more agile way, and they can do a faster adoption of SASE framework?
See, if you talk about the SASE as a framework, yes, it is very critical nowadays in infrastructure and today's digital world. When we talk, because most of the big organization in India, they are talking about the legacy system. So the system is such a way that your critical application normally in the in-house, and rest all digital application or peripheral application now you're talking about on the cloud. So it's a hybrid kind of environment where we are looking at it, very important here become is a zero trust cybersecurity architecture framework. So that framework has to be in place so that you start thinking about it, how the technology will be in that case, the integrated or implemented, whether it is cloud or whether it is on premises. Example personally for us also, like when we completely on the in-house, then we start thinking about let's first build the private cloud for us, because of today even most of the application is coming up in such a way that they are feasible cloud native applications. So why not a private cloud of infrastructure, which is again in regulator allows, or maybe some other things happen, so that you can start migrating very easily on the public cloud.
Mhm.
So I'm saying, those infrastructure has to be ready. So the private cloud, and then we start, migrating some of the application which is a non-critical or non very highly regulated on the public cloud also. So it's a mixture of, the private cloud and the public cloud both. And as I said, the zero trust cybersecurity architecture and framework is there. And then you start thinking about SASE kind of solution, which is very helpful. So this SASE support not only a zero trust, but it simplified, your authentication process based on the initial signature and other stuff, and then your ZTNA kind of things where you're talking about, the VPN kind of connection, from outside of the network, and CASB kind of solutions, and your web gateway, which is become a single source not only for in-house, for even for the outside user also, so that then the security check is command your DLP solution. So all for any users, whether it is inside or whether it is outside, same kind of cyber security posture will be checked for all the users. So it's become, I can say, a gateway for public and private both. So that's simplified, the things, and this also support your zero trust cybersecurity framework. So it is very important, for the
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that completely resonates with what other customers are also looking at from SASE. And that's three things which you pointed out uh, is critical, which we also are hearing from other customers. That's about getting more visibility into how the data is moving in the network, whether it's data in rest or data in
And
motion.
then you have a more detail and more visibility, as you said, data, whether the data, for all kind of data, whether data is rest or data is in motion or in applications.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.